Hi everyone. For our instructive game today, I'm going to do another game I played in the 4NCL. I was white against an opponent called Alan Downham, who is 2024 FIDE. He's a lot higher than me, so I knew I'd been for a tough one, and he's very solid and experienced. So and it was a match between 362 versus Iceni, and Iceni's lowest graded player was higher than our highest graded player. So, in fact, 100 points than the highest graded player, so it was completely outnumbered. Anyway, onto the game now. I was white and opened with d4, after which came d5, c4, and c6, the Slav defense, which is very solid and has a very good reputation at the top level. And I continued with one of the many main lines with knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, and now my opponent could have played d takes c4, which is the Slav, and there's some very sharp systems out of that. In fact, let's have a look at that. Takes e4. Now black can try and hang on to the pawn with b5, but white's got a strong centre. Now you can play could play knight e5. And white's got compensation for the pawn, just a strong centre. Let's go back. There's also the Chebarenko Slav with a6, which is very interesting. Now you can play some like e3, and bishop g4 is interesting. But anyway, if you do some reading for yourself to have a look at these fascinating Slav lines. But in the game, he played e6, which transposes from the Slav to the semi-Slav, which is where you have like a pawn triangle, and you can put the bishop behind it on d6, and it's very solid. Like d5 is very strong. And then I played e3. It was pretty unambitious, but it's one of the main lines. Knight bd7, bishop d3, bishop d6. It's quite an old line this, very solid though. And here I made quite a bad move here, a bit of a mistake. I went c takes d5. The reason this is bad is that after black takes back, that I have now like a very inferior form of the Slav exchange variation, because my bishop's locked in behind a wall of pawns, whereas black's bishop is developed its ideal attacking square. So black's at least equally, if not better. See what I should have done instead. I should have castled. You see a lot of castles, and e4. So grabbing the centre, then e5 winning the piece. White should probably have a slight advantage here, although black's very solid. But my stake allows black an easy equality and even chances for an advantage. Takes. Queen c2. Both sides castle short. Rook e8. You see, it's very hard to play e4. The liberate move, and white's rather passive here. Black's better. In fact, I shouldn't even play an e4 because I get a real bad IQP. Probably the best plan in this position maybe is to play rook b1 and b4 and b5 like a minority attack. But this position's already quite bad. To add to that, I'm at 500 points, so I'm upgraded. Rook e1. Knight f8, so opening up the light squared bishop to maybe bring it to g4 and then take on f3, messing up my pawn structure. And also to maybe, to nullify any potential pressure on the h7 point. And there I decided to give myself the IQP with e4. I'm defending e5 winning the piece, which I always have to be careful about if you put the bishop on d6 and the knight on f6. So it has to be taken, but it's obviously good for black, because I get an IQP and I don't really have enough activity to compensate for it. So, takes, bishop g4. So this is a very bad position, this. Because he might be playing f5 to kick the bishop away and then taking it. Well, I could take an f5, but he takes an f3, and then I get mated on e1. So f5 is a very bad threat here because of the pressure down the e-file. And also there's some lines where he takes an f3 which messes up my pawn structure and my king comes hopelessly exposed. So I decided to go bishop e3. And now my pawn went queen d7. And then we had a really deep think here, and I thought that maybe I should sacrifice the IQP with knight e5. Because nothing else looked good, to be honest. He's threatening to play f5 and then take an f3. I have a horrible position then. It doesn't seem to be anything. I can maybe play h3. Let's have a look at that. Bishop h5. Bishop f5. Queen c7. Yeah, black's better here, or slightly better at least. And I might be grovelling here, so I thought I'd sack a pawn to try and get the initiative back. It's the IQP I'm sacrificing, so it's not all that bad. I mean, that pawn's probably going to drop off at some point anyway. It's 95. My opponent fought for a very long time here, and calculated it could safely take the pawn and withstand the pressure initiative I get. That was the idea. I've got two bishops in an open position as compensation, but it's not really enough and it's hard to find an active plan, that's the problem. It's still better for black this. He should be able to consolidate extra pawn after, as long as he's careful. Thanks. Now I wanted to bring my rook to the d file, but I played quite a bad weakening move here with f3. I mean, let's see what else I could have done. Could maybe try the rook cliff with rook e3, but it doesn't really do much. Knight g6. And the best move here seems to be to take the knight off, which just gives the bishop pair up, so it's definitely better for black. White's got no compensation for pawn. But f3 is quite an ugly move. And here the best move actually is a tactical shot. Bishop f5. Because obviously if I take the bishop, queen d4 check, taking advantage of the weakness created by f3. I suppose that was the main drawback of f3. That, but thankfully I got away with it. And see, after I don't know, a block of queen f2, takes the bishop on f4, and black is easily better here, a pawn up with a better position in my opinion, because my bishop pair's gone, and black's queen's very active. So back to the game. So we went back to e6, which is also fine, but not as precise. Rook e d1. Should have brought the a rook in, but I didn't want to leave a2 on pre. But I shouldn't have worried about pawns. I'm already a pawn down, so that was pretty bad. Now we went queen e7. Bishop d5 is also good. Let's have a look at that. It's like the Houdini's giving like a pawn advantage now to black, so showing that white's got absolutely no compensation. Bishop f5. Queen e7. Black's got e-file pressure as well. A3. Rook a d8. And black is a pawn up with a solid position, and white's got nothing here. But queen e7 is good as well. Bishop d6. Queen h4. Black's queen's very active. Now I decided to retreat the bishop before he goes rook a d8. Didn't like the look of that. But then now queen h5. And now white's got no compensation for the pawn here. Black's probably better on position and points count as well. So as a result, I decided to maybe switch my attention to the queen side, because there's absolutely nothing on the king side. I mean, As Larson said many years ago, that it's very hard to get to checkmate the king when there's a knight on a bishop square, and a knight on f8 is excellent. So I went a4 instead, hopefully trying to get a minority attack going. But I should have done this before getting himself the IQP, to be honest. I'll sack the pawn. Knight d7. I mean, I've got no attack, so the knight can come in now. And black's threatening queen c5 check, which will force the queens off. Which is obviously bad for me, because I'm down the pawn. So I went b4, which carries on with my own pawn and also stops queen c5 check. But now, I mean, black's consolidated the pawn and now knight f6, which is effectively attacking a bishop. But I decided to let the bishop drop because I thought that if he takes it, then it's going to be bishop's opposite colour, so black's pawn advantage won't matter as much. So I actually let it drop with rook e1. But given that the open file probably isn't good, but he takes, queen d5. Which I was happy to see because I thought it gives me a glimmer of hope, because I'll allow my pawn down when the queens come off. It's bishop's opposite colour, so it'd be very hard for black to win. I mean, Houdini's still giving an advantage of a better pawn, but that's because the position's like far from a forced draw, but there's definite drawing chances in the endgame. I think black should keep the queens on. So let's see what black could have done instead. I think he should have just played rook a d8. Sees the open file. And now, I mean, I can't think of a good plan for white here. Maybe carry on with b5. And now someone like rook d5 is very strong, centralising. And there's nothing here for white. I mean, black can always get the queens off queen d5 at any point, so it doesn't really matter. I suppose my opponent, being a lot more experienced and higher rated, probably thought he could outplay me in the endgame. But anyway, his position is far from easy. So I took the queens off. And his best chance is to take with the c pawn to get a passed pawn. And I carried on with bishop f2. And we both had about 10 minutes left each to reach the time control at move 40 to get another arrow on our clocks, and we still had 13 more moves to make. So the moves follow have played quite quickly. Rook ec8, rook ac1, and by the way, I'm gonna have to do this video in 2 parts due to the 15-minute length. So we'll carry on the endgame in the next video. See you then.